Hey guys, Colorado Dave here, just doing a quick review on the Sage 5 Lightweight Spyderco that I got last summer, and so this is really my second summer with it, and I figured it was a good time to pull it out since it is a summer knife in my collection, and in my rotation is when I bring it out, is for the warmer weather, because it is lighter and it works great in your pants or your jeans, your lighter pants or jeans or whatever you could be wearing. But good summer knife for sure. It's definitely a winner. I'll tell you that right up front. Just show you the box here real quick. That's what you get in your typical Spyderco box, nothing fancy. But that's it. All right, we'll put that off to the side. Let's talk here a little bit about the actual knife itself and what it's all about. First off, this comes from the Spyderco Taiwan Taichung plant. This is, by some people's version, their best plant. They do some of their finest workmanship up there as far as just their higher end knives that Spyderco comes up with some of their designers. Some of that stuff does come out of this plant, and so they have a very good reputation. So by no means is it looked at as cheap because it's made overseas. I don't think you're going to suffer quality wise at all. It's very comparable to Golden, Colorado, which is right down the street from where I live, and it's very comparable as far as quality to that, and they do a fantastic job here in Colorado. So so high praises to both of them. Quite honestly, you can't go wrong with either one. They do have a plant, or a couple plants I should say, in Japan as well as in China. I know less about them, to be honest. I've bought less of the knives that come from those plants, so I really can't talk about them. Most of the knives I've bought have come from either Golden or they've come from Taichung, Taiwan. One or the other. So anyway, so that's where my experience has been. The Sage 5 I came across last year when it first came out. I believe it just came out last year. I wanted to try something with this blade shape because I don't have a Manix. I don't have any of the other leaf-shaped knives that Spyderco has. At one point I had a domino go through my hand, which had the leaf shape, which I liked. So I have touched it, but I wanted something with the leaf shape in my collection. So that's one of the reasons I wanted it. I wanted something lightweight for the summer, and I thought this would be a good fit. And anyway, so that's how this whole journey started, getting into the Sage 5. Actually, there's a little story I am going to tell you. And please don't hate me, guys, but I have not had a good experience with the Bugout. If you notice when I do my comparisons, I will not have a Benchmade Bugout for my comparison. And that would be a perfect summer knife to do a comparison with, as the Bugout is a knife that I've wanted to love so bad. And I've actually owned two of them. And I've broken the spring on both of them. And so, needless to say, I just have had bad luck. And I know people have never broken the springs on them, and they've had them last forever, and they're strong, and they're great, and I get it, and I believe you. I just, for whatever reason, have not had great luck with it, so I've had to move on. And when I moved on, and I knew I wanted a different summer knife, something that I, wanted to play with that would be lighter in the pocket, still carry decent, but yet still have that durability, etc. This is the knife I went to. So for me, this is a big win over the Benchmade. So, we're all different, the Bugout, but specifically, I love Benchmade. I have a couple other knives, which I'm going to show you in my comparison here coming up, but I do love Benchmade. Actually, let's go ahead and get the comparison out of the way. Why don't we just go ahead and do that? Speaking of Benchmade, we'll start out with my Super Freak, which is a great knife. I've had this. This is one of the older knives in my collection. So you can tell I haven't been collecting that long, but it's a knife that I love. It's got M4 steel on it, which was my first experience with M4. And I didn't hit the sweet spot with the M4 steel till I really sharpened it a couple times. And when I did, it really sharpened up beautifully. And I've learned to really, really like the steel. I just do it on my KME, and I do take it down to a mirror finish, and man, is this thing slicey now. And yet you still got this durable knife that's just got this incredible durability and, awesome fidget factor too. But this is a great knife. Great knife. Obviously, it's a bigger knife. Sticking with Benchmade, saying that I really do like you, Benchmade. I'm just struggling with the bug out, that's all. But I'm eventually gonna probably try one again because I do wanna love that knife. Anyway, this is the Osborne 940. This is the first one I've ever had, which is one of the newer ones that came from Blade HQ, exclusive. And I got it because it's the first one that I looked at that was like easily available online, that was at a reasonable price, that I just liked how it looked for one. I just thought it was a good looking knife, and I've been wanting to try one, as I know it's, you know, it's kind of a classic in the world of pocket knives that, you know, you really need to experience one. So this was my chance to get one because I love M4 steel, and that's what the blade is, and I really liked the jade with it. I just thought it looked awesome. And so I got this a little while back. I've kind of safe cleaned it. I just put my edge on it. It's all I've done to it. I do carry it around the house and I do fidget with it. But I've taken it out a little bit. I shouldn't say that, but not really for hard use though. I babied it. I've definitely babied it so far. And that's because it wasn't exclusive, and I do think it's really cool looking. There's a chance I want to save it to maybe sell it and keep it nice. But then I say to myself, you know, I really want a 940. If I do that, then I got to get another 940, because now that I've experienced how it feels in hand and whatnot, it makes me want another one. Sorry, I get really sidetracked in these videos, guys. So I'm trying not to make this too long, but it probably will be. So my apologies up front. Anyway, this is a little bit bigger on the comparison, as you can see, to the Sage 5. Very different knife. This is another one, though, that's a good summer carry. I'm excited about it because it's newer to me, and so that's why I'm sharing that with you guys. But against the Sage 5, very different knife because it's a very narrow blade versus the Sage 5, which is going to be more robust, and it's going to give you more utility options as far as usage. Another one we're going to look at here is the Spyderco Kuchi. This is a knife that I don't think has gotten the respect it really deserves. I guess the first run of these had some issues with the blade being touchable with your finger or something when it was closed. And so this knife kind of got some bad press on the early end. And I think because of that, a lot of people have just kind of brushed it off. But this is a really cool knife, guys. If you look at it up against the Sage 5 size-wise, you can see it's got way more blade because, you know, the choil in it. So you got way more usable blade, and yet it's still a very small knife that's compact. It's a great little blade. But anyway, comparison-wise, you can see they are similar in size, but the Kuchi will be just a little bit bigger, a little bit longer, but you're not going to have that same width to the knife. It is a thinner feeling knife, but again, very cool knife. That's the Kuchi. Let's put that one away. Of course, we got to put it up against the Para 3, as they really are very similar knives size-wise. They're very different in a lot of ways too, as I carry both of these knives quite a bit. This was my #1 carried knife probably last year total, but I carried this year round. This in the summertime got just as much carry or more. This is a great knife. The Sage 5 is just so, it's got that same, you know, just perfect feel in hand. It's just got, the ergos are just awesome. And they're awesome on the Para 3 as well, but I do think they're probably better on the Sage 5, on the lightweight, believe it or not. As much as I love them on the Para 3, and they're great on the Para 3. I'm taking nothing away from that. I just think they're a little bit better. It might just be just a little bit better on the Sage 5. But this action on this knife is so smooth. I'm doing that without touching it. It's just going down that gracefully, but it's really, really smooth. The action on this thing is phenomenal. I purposely have it on the tight side because I don't like it too drop shutty, but you can make this very drop shutty if you want to, and you're gonna still get it perfectly centered. Does have my edge on there. I don't know if you can see that or care, but it does have a real nice mirrored edge on it. And this is S30V steel, and I'm telling you, this S30VN, it really sharpens up nicely, guys. It might be a little bit soft, but you know what? I love it. It's a great pocket knife steel. It really is. This would be the extreme, the other direction. This is the Maximate. If you look at that, it's got a nice patina going on it because I've had it for quite a while as well, and it's starting to patina up, but that's got my edge as well. But that's that's getting pretty cool. This is a great knife. I love this knife as well. But size comparison wise, same as the Para 3. You're right there. Here's your Spidey Chef, which is going to be just a little bigger, longer in the handle as well as the blade. It's got a deeper belly, but it's got that same fuller feel to the blade as far as the width. But definitely the Spidey Chef's a little bit bigger. Let's look at the Paramilitary 2 up against it. Obviously a bigger knife, more handle as well as more blade. Definitely a bigger knife. Let's look at one more. This is the Kapara. This is the Kapara. I love this knife. This is one of my favorite carries as well. I like this carry a lot. This is a bigger blade, obviously. It's closer to the size of the Paramilitary 2. It's got the carbon fiber handles, and it's obviously the handles are longer as well as the blade being bigger. So this, even though this is a much bigger knife size-wise, this is another great summer carry, guys, to be honest, because it's so narrow. It fits in the pocket as far as the Spyderco world goes. It fits really nice and narrow in the pocket. And I love the just regular standard wire clip like that. This one carries nice. This one carries great. For the summer, it carries great. Again, awesome action. We'll put that away. Definitely a bigger knife though. And let's get back to our Sage 5. So there's your comparisons. I'm probably bouncing around here a little bit. I'm still very new at this, guys. I will say real quickly too, if you can subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. As I am, only been doing this for about 4 weeks now. I actually started this up a while back, a few months back, and I was actually doing pretty good. I was moving pretty fast with it, and got a little overwhelmed because I was doing some other things and wasn't giving it the attention I wanted to, so I shut everything down and had to start over from scratch. So I literally just started 4 weeks ago with nothing, and I'm trying to build this channel up. So if you would subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if some of these videos look like the dates are funny on them a little bit, it's because I did this a few months back and I added those videos to what I started. So if that throws you off a little bit, I apologize. But anyway, that's my story. I'm gonna stick with it for now. Back to the video. The Sage 5 here, lightweight. I do want to weigh this thing because I don't even know what it weighs. I should. I didn't bring a spec sheet out with me. I'm just the guy who's gonna walk through this without too much detail, because if you really want that stuff, you guys know where to go to get it. 2.88 is what it's telling me weight-wise. So it's under 3 ounces for a 3-inch blade, but it's not super light. It's not bug-out light like the Benchmade Bugout. This is a heavier knife, and it's because it has a full stainless liner. It is skeletonized a little bit, but it's a full liner that goes through the whole knife, through the whole handle of the knife. So it's going to add more weight to it. But that's why I like this knife. That's one of the main reasons I love this knife, is because it does have that liner. I like the strength and the durability that you feel. It just feels like a more expensive knife than, and again, I keep comparing it to the Bugout, and I'm doing that because it's the best example of a knife that doesn't have real strong handles. It does feel a little flimsier on the handle. I know it's a strong knife. I know it's not breaking. I know it's not going anywhere, but this just feels stronger. It feels that little bit heavier. For me, I want that extra weight. Some people don't. They want it as light as possible, and that's what makes us all different, and that's okay. But if you want just a little bit more weight, a little bit more substance behind your knife, but still have a decent summer lighter carry, that's why I think this is a perfect fit. Again, for my world, this is what I like. Getting back to the clip too, they were really smart in putting a deep carry clip on this, as most people want to convert it to a deep carry clip anyway. They kept it very simple. They just put the wire clip on there so it doesn't draw too much attention, yet it matches up real nicely with the satin blade and the satin screws and hardware. It was well thought out. I think it's a beautiful design. I think if you look at the handle closely, sorry, I think I just kicked my stand, guys. I'm still learning, guys, so work with me. If you notice on the scales here too, this is like the first FRN knife I've ever owned, scaled knife I've ever owned. I've always stayed away from the plastic knives, as I call them. But this one does feel different than when I've felt other Spydercos in the Spyderco shop. I've held many of them, the Man X2 and just a bunch of different ones. And the scales do feel very different on the ones that come out of the Taiwan plant. They just feel different. They're also shaped a little bit different if you look at them close up. But what you'll see is that there is that dual texture still, where they go both ways, which makes it for a very grippy knife when it gets wet. So it really does work well in hand. So it does function very well that way. I love the way the lanyard holder is very small and just off to the side, but it's definitely very reachable and usable for somebody who wants one. So I think it's a great spot for the lanyard hole. I think that's awesome. It is a compression lock. So you do have that back compression lock. Like I said, I have it kind of tight right now, but I purposely have done that. I can loosen that up and make it very drop shutty if I want to, but that's because I have a tendency to flick my knives in like that, and so that's why I like it a little tighter. But again, it is a very fidgety knife and very, very fun knife to play with. But if you see too, when you come down on this, there's just a natural rock to it. It's a really comfortable knife. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a very, very comfortable knife. You see the jimping here that's going on the back of the spine, up by the spider hole. Perfect, exactly where you'd want it. You have the choil you can choke up on, or you can stay back on it here. Realistically, you're gonna hold it. I find myself holding it like this 9 times out of 10. I do have a tendency to choke up on the choil with this one almost all the time. But what else can I tell you about it? You can reverse that pocket clip for a lefty, so it will go either way. I don't know, guys. What else can I tell you about this knife? I didn't really bring any specs or anything out. I've been carrying this knife quite a bit. I've put an edge on this knife. It was super easy to sharpen up. It was, as far as Spydercos go, like if you look at your Paramilitary 3, for example, versus this, because of the hump, it does carry a little bit bigger than this does. And so for that reason, I got the hiccups, guys, so I apologize. Anyway, for that reason, the Sage 5 carries a little narrower in the pocket, so it definitely carries better in the pocket. Obviously, it's not going to carry quite as well as the Benchmade 940. That's even thinner, as you can tell, or the Spyderco Kuchi. That's obviously thinner. But they're very different knives. If you want a full blade out of these two knives, this is going to carry thinner, and it's going to carry lighter as well. So it really is a nice summer carry. Best way to describe it. It's also thinner too. It's a little thinner than the Para 3, because of the FRN. But anyway, I think that's all I have to say about it, guys. I think you saw the comparisons. It's a great knife. If you're looking for something that's reasonably priced in the Spyderco world, you may have, had a knife or two and you want to venture into that $100 to $150 range. This may be the perfect find for you. If you get this as the lightweight, the Sage 5 lightweight, which is what this is $122.50, I believe, is what they're selling this for at most of the major houses like Blade HQ and DLT Trading, all those guys, Knife Center, etc. I think most of those guys are selling it for the $122.50. I will tell you, it's a knife that right now is very difficult to get. I just realized that a lot of places I was looking for it, it wasn't available. I think some of the other distributors, smaller distributors, do have it. Don't misunderstand. I don't think they're like running out of them. But I did notice they were a little hard to get at the big boys. A lot of them were out of them, at least temporarily. I didn't do much research beyond that, so I'm not sure how scarce they are, but they seem to be a little bit scarce, and maybe it's a seasonal thing. I don't know. But anyway, for that price range, this is a lot of knife. I mean, it's a lot of knife. I mean, even comparing it to this Para 3. This Para 3, now this is the Maximate version, granted. This is a $206 knife when I bought it. This is only $122. So you're like $90 cheaper. So, there's a big price difference there. And they both do a great job and do the same thing. But as we all know in this crazy knife world, we find different ways to justify it. But I will tell you that this one at $122 is a very, very good value, because if you get its big brother, which is basically the exact same knife, it's the Sage 5, not the Sage 5 lightweight. It does have carbon fiber scales that are also G10 underneath. So they just have a carbon fiber layer, and then they have G10 underneath. Outside of that, it's basically the exact same knife as this. And it's the exact same blade. And that knife is gonna run you $163. So it's like $40+ more to get that version of it. And the only difference is that top scale. Outside of that, it's pretty much the same knife. Actually, this knife is a little bit nicer by a lot of people's opinion because of the action. Because it is coming out of a different plant, and the action is a little bit smoother. Some people believe from the Taiwan plant. So again, that's a matter of opinion. I'd rather not say. I like both plants. I think they're both great, and I have reasons to like both plants, but I do like the action on this. I have not had a regular Sage 5 in my hand, believe it or not, even though I've owned this for a year. So I can't really comment on it, but I know some people do think that the action's better on this one, and quite a few people have commented that online. So again, you can be the judge of that, but considering this is $40 cheaper, it makes this even more of a value. The other thing that people do like on this one a little bit better is right here. You can see how it's kind of contoured a little bit for your finger as far as the groove here. And I think it's easier for them to do that because of the FRN versus the G10. And so because of that, they've rounded it off really nicely. They do say it fits a little nicer in hand. And again, I can't compare the two because I haven't had the other knife in hand, but I have heard that as well. But I will tell you that I think out of the whole Spyderco world, that this is one of the better values as far as knives offered by Spyderco, because of the quality of the materials, because of the style of the design, etc., for the price tag. You can't go wrong with this knife. It really is a great, great knife, and it's definitely a good EDC. One to consider, guys. That's enough. I've babbled enough for one day. Thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate your patience.